Hello, everyone. Welcome to the conference call for information and magical experiences regarding the Kanyakumari India trip with Dr. Pillai that is happening November 14th through the 21st, 2010. So Mohini will be giving us some information about the locations we'll be going to since she's been there personally. And after that, myself, I will give you a testimonial on experiences of India in general. Unless you want me to do that first, Mohini.
Sure. Please share with us.
Okay. So I haven't been to Kanyakumari yet, but I have been to India several times, and I can think back to my first India trip and how profoundly changed my entire life was when I had that experience. And the reason I'm saying this is because if anyone listening to this has ever had the thought that they wanted to go to India, now is the time to do that. This trip is happening inside of a time vortex where significant change will be able to happen in your life. But even beyond that, going to India itself, just landing on that soil is a complete transformation from physical to the soul level. And I can testify to that as my first trip, and many of them afterwards have been like that. I went first in, I think it was 2001, and it was a remedy trip. So we went to different temples and had the experiences of being inside of these energy vortexes. Dr. Pillai wasn't even there physically, but his energy was certainly there. And I could literally feel layers of my consciousness falling away. Upsets that I would have normally had just started to fall away. The emotions that may have prevented me from being inside of happiness and joy started to melt away. The burdens of certain pressures I would put upon myself in life got lifted, literally felt lifted off of my shoulders. I literally felt lighter during that trip. My face, if I looked in the mirror, looked different. Like the energy around my physical body had changed. And when I got back to the U.S., the first day back, or maybe it was the day after I arrived in the U.S., I went to work, and I got laid off. So I was a little upset about that, but knowing the magical experiences I had just had in India, I trusted that this must be for the better. So in that time period when the internet bubble was bursting, and that's why I was laid off, I went for it, and I thought, I'm going to get a contract, which, of course, contractors were paid more, so people were hiring them less and less as it is. So I just said, I'm not going to worry about those external circumstances. I'm going to go for this. 6 weeks later, I got a contract making 80% more than what I was making at my full-time job, and held that contract for, I think it was over a year or so. So it wasn't just a fleeting thing. I significantly changed my financial situation at the time. My relationships, particularly the romantic relationship I was in, was improving during that time. Relationships with my family also had shifted and changed because of the karmic weight and the preconceived notions that I was carrying around in my consciousness. Once they dissolved and shifted, my relationships with others could really flower and transform within the space I was now able to hold. And that all happened inside of going to India. Now, I've been through transformational programs and emotional work where you do the mental and emotional work to transform how you think and who you are and your reactions to different situations. And I don't discredit that at all. That is definitely 100% necessary. However, at a soul level, changing that has been, up until the time I went to India, something I couldn't possibly do. And I was meditating for about 8 years prior to that. So it wasn't like I was new to spirituality. But I had never had the shift I had it in that 1 week in India. It was completely turned my life around, and I've been on that path ever since with Dr. Pillai, continuing to go back to India, continuing to have different layers of my life unravel so that more beauty and more joy and more prosperity can come in. So as soon as we get out of the way, we allow this natural ease of our own selves and life to come and bless us. So I have no doubt Kanyakumari as the goddess will definitely bless everyone on this trip as well. So I can't say enough good things about India. Of course, it was shocking in terms of a different experience that I wasn't used to compared to the Western world. But that was also part of the magic. Being exposed to things and people and situations you wouldn't have normally been exposed to is part of the transformation. And Dr. Pillai, being on the trip himself, compounds it thousandfold. He will transform, because I have been on trips with him physically present, he will continue to dissolve any negativity in the mind, to rejuvenate the beauty of the soul and the natural aspect of self during the seminars, and simply his presence. Anytime he is around and he knows the group is there. So it is really inexplicable, and I hope I touched upon the magic that I have personally experienced in India. It's unlike anything ever, and I hope that everyone is able to join on this trip. And if not this trip, another one very, very soon. So I'll turn it over to you now, Mohini.
Great. Well, that's a perfect segue for what I'd like to share. So everyone, I'm very excited about this trip personally because I've had the rare opportunity to visit not only Kanyakumari, but the sacred vortexes around Kanyakumari on various occasions, and each one of those visits has been utterly magical. And definitely the experience that Jaya has been talking about, wherein that just simply stepping upon the soil of these sacred vortexes and being immersed by the divine energies there, profound transformation happens. And that has definitely been my experience with the sacred vortexes in and around Kanyakumari. So first of all, I'd just like to say that I myself was unaware before Dr. Pillai revealed a few months ago that Kanyakumari was actually part of the ancient landmass of Lemuria. And now when I contemplate on the mystical energies there and the very raw and ancient power that vibrates everywhere, not just in Kanyakumari, but the entire region, now I really see that definitely there is something very old, very ancient, very powerful, very subtle energies. In fact, my vocabulary is not able to capture just how profound and magical, but in a very different way than other places that I've been in India. So I must have been receiving the energies from the ancient landmass of Lemuria and not even aware of it. So let me just paint a picture of the beautiful journey that we'll be embarking upon. Simply from driving from the airport and approaching Kanyakumari, the forest itself becomes more magical, more enchanting, more lush, more green. You feel like something beautiful is arising. And then as you drive into Kanyakumari, it's quite visually stunning because this place itself is on the confluence of three divine bodies of water. And so when you look out at the vista, there's water everywhere, but not water in terms of looking like a fun place to play on the beach. The water is very raw and powerful, winds whipping the waves, waves crashing. You can look out into the sea and see Vivekananda Rock, the rock that was built in memory where Swami Vivekananda attained enlightenment. And the wind itself is just, it carries a very powerful, cleansing energy. It whips against you, and you can feel the raw power of the wind. So upon entering Kanyakumari, there's power, there's energy, there's movement, everything vibrating, visually stunning. It's fantastic. The hotel that we're staying at is a new resort hotel in the area, and we've been with this property in other regions for a long time, so we know the people very well. And they've created such a beautiful complement to have a gorgeous resort hotel right off the beach itself on one of the sides of the beautiful bodies of water in Kanyakumari. And so the resort hotel gives this beautiful, peaceful atmosphere where you can gaze out your windows and gaze upon the divine waters surrounding Kanyakumari. And in the morning, you can get up and meditate on the beach. And we will be performing some of our very powerful fire rituals and other rituals outside under the whipping wind and near the crashing waves. So it's really beautiful how this property just emerged within the past year. So it divinely was appointed that we would bring a group at this time because we've never brought a large group to this area at all. So beyond our experience in Kanyakumari, where we will commune with the waters themselves, and where three bodies of water meet, that is where mystical energies of enlightenment vibrate. And so appropriate that Swami Vivekananda attained enlightenment there. We'll be traveling in a boat out to the Divine Rock, where Vivekananda meditated for a long time. And I can say that when I had the opportunity to step upon this vast rock myself, and there's a beautiful meditation shrine there, not really a temple. When we sat inside, and we were in there for about a half an hour to 45 minutes or so, I have to say it was one of the most profoundly peaceful experiences that I've ever had in meditation, because Dr. Pillai has shared that when you meditate on a place which is actually away from a landmass and out in a body of water, the purity is there because you're not being bombarded by the thought forms of people all around you. So we will enjoy a beautiful and peaceful meditation in this very mystical rock, this beautiful temple on a rock where Vivekananda meditated. And then nearby that temple is a beautiful shrine to Parvati, where actually you can see her footprint upon the rock. And as one of our previous trip participants shared, where we took a very small group of people, about 5 people, on a small private pilgrimage once, this person actually experienced that even though she was skeptical that is it really true that you can see Goddess Parvati's footprint on the rock, that when she saw the rock from the footprint itself, there emanated such a divine feminine force, and she placed her head against the footprint of Goddess Parvati and truly felt like she was communing with the goddess. So she was shocked that indeed it is true that gods and goddesses have walked upon this earth plane, and we can actually connect with them at the places of power. So Kanyakumari is very magical, and in that place, Dr. Pillai will be teaching his master's intensive on secrets of communing with this beautiful virgin goddess, Kanyakumari. It's the first time ever that Dr. Pillai will be teaching on goddess Kanyakumari, and it will be an intimate group of people, and I simply cannot say enough about the transforming power of being in India with Dr. Pillai itself. India, just by stepping on the soil, has the power to remove your karma. Then when you actually go to one of these sacred vortexes, and in Kanyakumari, we're actually standing on a landmass that was ancient Lemuria and ripe with all those mystical divine energies of the ancient wisdom that resided there. Then as Dr. Pillai actually leads us through the seminar, delivering teachings and empowerment, he himself has the ability to gather up all the divine energies which are residing in the vortex and deliver it directly to us through his tremendous Shakti that can penetrate us, body, mind, and soul. So that in itself will be likely an intensive that he has never delivered before, and a very rare and mystical opportunity to be transformed by him, because he will be helping us to commune directly with this Virgin Goddess and to receive all the beautiful gifts that she wants to give. This trip is really associated with wealth, prosperity, material abundance, relationship. These are the gifts of the goddess, and we'll be visiting many other divine vortexes that carry these energies, and as well as enlightenment, because as I was sharing, this is the three bodies of water meet in order to gather the energies of enlightenment, and Swami Vivekananda did there. So the trip really is a beautiful combination of both very high spiritual experiences and very powerful material experiences in gaining more wealth consciousness so that you can amass more wealth and material abundance in your life. Now, in the surrounding region, we're going to be taking daily magical pilgrimages to very rare and divine places on the perfect time. Dr. Pillai is all about using auspicious times in order to do the most divine activity at the time, which vibrates with energies that support that activity. So on Vishnupathi itself, Vishnupathi is a beautiful day that happens 4 times a year. And on that day, Lord Vishnu, the great archetypal being who loves to give wealth and material abundance, he will be giving money blessings on that day in a very profound way. And this is something that people often experience on Vishnupathi. But on Vishnupathi itself, we are going to be performing a very extensive fire ritual to Vishnu and his consort, Lakshmi, the archetypal feminine being for wealth. And this will be carried out by priests from Kerala. And the priests from Kerala, when they conduct fire rituals or any kind of ritual that they conduct, it is absolutely stunningly powerful. I have witnessed and experienced rituals all throughout India, but I have to say that the priests from Kerala, because of their extensive training and their extremely meticulous nature, and the fact that they do the ritual out of utter devotion and sincerity to the goddess according to the prescribed ancient texts, that in fact when they do the ritual, they're not even concerned with how beautifully they chant. They're not trying to put on a show for anyone, but truly they're whispering and singing the mantras to the gods and goddesses with a incredible passion to bring them down into the fire. It is really something actually out of this world. And even the preparations for the fire rituals can often take up to 4 hours, because they draw very magical diagrams, beautiful diagrams that actually embody the energies of the divine beings that they'll be calling upon. So on this great day of Vishnupathi, when Vishnu loves to give money miracles, we'll be performing fire rituals twice, 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening, in order to capture Lord Vishnu in that fire. And these priests have the power to do it, to bring him into the fire, and then we can make our prayers for a financial turnaround in our lives and for a money miracle. So that will be magical, very magical in itself. And then these same Kerala priests will be traveling with a divinely gifted astrologer from Kerala. And Dr. Pillai has just given the gift that everyone on this trip will have a personal astrology reading with this expert in Kerala astrology. And Kerala astrology is unlike any other astrology that you could experience on this planet. Again, the training that they undergo in Kerala regarding astrology is much more complex and intricate, and they bring in all kinds of divine tools that aren't used in other forms of astrology. In this reading itself, they will be working with not only your birth details in order to determine your birth chart, and the planetary positions as they were at your birth and how they're impacting you now. But they use divine substances like betel leaves, where on one betel leaf, there are 108 different locations on the leaf that tell the astrologer exactly what's going on in your life. And I've experienced this, that from just one leaf that indicates one aspect of my life, they told me things about myself that I've never actually told anyone, and about my ancestors as well. So it's very powerful. They also use divine shells where they chant over the shells, and then they shake the shells and throw them down. And from the formation of the shells and the numbers that they can derive from the grouping of the shells, there's also divine information that comes forward about situations in your life right now. So it is really a blessing that this divine team from Kerala, both priest and astrologer, will be joining us and blessing us with not only fire rituals in order to bring down Lord Vishnu and Goddess Lakshmi to give us wealth, but these astrologers will be meeting with each one of you personally and looking into your future and exactly targeting the situations that need their divine insight, and probably identifying things that you can do in order to enhance the positive impacts that are coming, and to decrease anything which could be malefic, which is coming your way. So that is truly a blessing. Now, after our beautiful celebration on Vishnupathi, we'll be starting to take the pilgrimage to the 9 great power spots for Vishnu. And this is something that I'm very excited about because I've had many personal experiences with Vishnu. And it's not only his energies of material abundance that are so apparent to me, but he is a very nurturing and loving God with a very beautiful feminine energy. And he loves to connect with people. And I've had beautiful connections with him. But recently I had the opportunity to visit these 9 great power spots of Vishnu, some of the greatest in all of India. There are temples which are nearby to one another, and each temple holds the energy of an ancient event that took place with Vishnu there, where he acquired certain powers, and then when you enter those vortexes, he can pass on those powers to you. So during this pilgrimage that I took recently, when I was able to visit these 9 great power spots for Vishnu, there were magical events that happened all along the way. As soon as I entered into the temple or spoke to the priest, a divine event would occur right next to the priest, and he would say, "Oh my God, you're here at the perfect time. Something is going to happen. Lord Vishnu wants to give you a blessing." Everything was so magical. And I did see definitely money turnarounds in my life after that trip to those 9 vortexes. So I see the power of entering these vortexes, communing with these beings, and then you can ask for what you want. That's the beauty of these vortexes. You have direct access to beings that can actually transmit divine powers to you. So after we visit the 9 vortexes of Vishnu, we're going to be making a special pilgrimage to a place called Kutralam. And Kutralam is something which is a complete universe in its own. It's a magical forest where the Siddhas, the perfected masters, live eternally in their light bodies. And we'll be hiking through an enchanted forest for about an hour to a beautiful, small, very powerful temple for a goddess named Shandaga Devi. And next to that temple, there's a lovely waterfall that rushes over Siddha herbs and then falls into a beautiful pond there. And this water has very special properties to cleanse your karma in a very comprehensive way. So many of you that read our newsletter read about my magical experience in Kutralam, where I actually had the opportunity to sleep overnight in the temple, which is deep in this forest. So it was really, it was quite adventurous on my part. And then the next morning, I had to get up at 4 a.m. bathe in these waters. And when I looked up on the hills surrounding this beautiful magical pond with this waterfall rushing down, there appeared lights all over the hills, and these lights I knew were the light bodies of the Siddhas that lived there. And this was confirmed later by an actual Siddha master that I was traveling with at the time. So I had a very special time of communion there in Kutralam, and always feel like I'm intimately connected to that place. There is some part of me that is still connected there, and I feel like the relationship that I built with those beautiful light beings there, that there's still angelic presences that follow me to this day and help me out whenever I call upon them. So it's a very beautiful experience. And the pilgrimages continue to even other magical places. This trip is like a never-ending cornucopia of beautiful pilgrimages. We will also be traveling to a place called Trichendur, which is one of the 6 great shrines of Lord Muruga, and he's the archetypal being that can remove the problems with money, health, debt, enemies. And at this particular temple, which is on the seashore at the southernmost tip of India, Lord Muruga has a special power to erase the heaviest financial karma and to then allow for free flow of money. And at the beginning of this year, it was predicted by these magical Jiva Nadi leaves. These are ancient palm leaves, a very special bundle of palm leaves where the reading changes according to the person who comes to the leaves and requests a reading. And on this occasion, this reading was actually for the world itself, and the reading came out that in 2010, people should go to this vortex, Trichendur, bathe in the oceans there in order to wipe out their financial karma so that they could have a free flow of money in their lives. And so I had the opportunity to go to Trichendur early in the year, and it was absolutely stunning. I've been to a lot of seashore temples, but when I stepped out of the car and approached the sea, it was absolutely a blood red in color. It was amazing. And again, it was a very wild, whipping kind of a sea, even though you can get into the part of the sea which is close to the shore. And after that bath, I felt like something had been erased from me. And when I look at the way that my financial destiny unfolded the rest of the year, I was just contemplating before this call, it is true that materially my life looks totally different than it did at the beginning of the year. There are new business opportunities that are absolutely falling in my lap that I didn't even have to reach out for. We moved into a new home that literally looks like a cross between an ashram hotel, an ashram temple, and a 5-star hotel. And we magically manifested one of Baba's students here who creates divine tropical environments and beautiful artworks made of mantras. And we have divine temple frescoes outside the house and inside the house. And when I wake up every day, it's a magical experience of living in a place that I couldn't have conceived of in order to even create it on my own. And so I can really see the power that this year I did have that opportunity to go to Trichendur as directed by the Nadi leaves, took the sacred bath there, and yes, I do see that my financial karma is totally turning around. So the blessings that come from entering these vortexes are real and very profound. It is something that you really have to experience for yourself. So I just want to speak quickly about some of the other special places that we'll be visiting, and then we'd love to take questions from people. On the day when the two very powerful planets are transiting, Venus and Jupiter, and they're transiting to powerful positions, which are very good for people all over the world. We will be making a special pilgrimage to a temple which is deeply associated with Dr. Pillai's energies, and that's a place called Suchindram, which is known to be the birthplace of Dattatreya. And many of you know that Dr. Pillai's spiritual name is Dattatreya Shiva Baba, and it was given, again, on these ancient palm leaves that he should take this name so that as people use this mantra, Om Dram Dattatreya Shiva Baba Swaha, that they could call upon the energies of Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu in order to access divine miracles in their lives. So it's very appropriate that on the day when Venus and Jupiter will be making powerful shifts in their position, that we'll be going to a most powerful temple which is associated with Dr. Pillai's energies to help enact miracles in people's lives. And at this temple, there's a huge Lord Hanuman. And Lord Hanuman is known to have magical powers to also do superhuman acts for the people that call upon him. So that will be a very magical day. And throughout the trip, we'll also be visiting some beautiful power spots for Lord Shiva. In fact, there's one place, a very powerful Shiva temple, where it is said that Lord Vishnu himself actually officiated the marriage of Shiva and Parvati. So there's a beautiful combination of the energies with Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and Goddess Parvati. So this is just the highlights of the trip. Of course, those of you that are going on the trip, once you experience it for yourself, you'll see that there's really no words that can capture it. I'm doing the best job that I can, but I can simply say that there's a lot of excitement rising up within me because I have the opportunity to go back to all these very magical places and then share that with all of you who will be joining the trip. And I know that this trip is destined to be completely transforming and really it will turn around the lives of all the people there. That is absolutely 100% effect. So we'd just like to open up the line now for people to ask questions and to receive any clarity that they need. Jai, are you still there?
Yes, I am. I'll open the line.
Okay.
Okay, so your line is currently muted, but you can unmute yourself by pressing *6. So if you have a question, please press *6 and let us know.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Yes, my name is Robert. I'm in Washington, D.C., and I was wondering, hey, how you doing, Jai? I've been wanting to attend Dr. Pillai's trips for years now, and hopefully I can finally make this one. The question is this. The Kerala astrological readings sound great, but how do they differentiate from the Nadi leaf readings? And that's the first question. And secondly, will there be Nadi leaf readings like before with the other trips?
Okay, well, I'm happy to answer that. Nadi is a divine form of astrology that is not associated with calculations at all. The Nadi leaves were written by, or actually channeled from divine beings to human beings that actually inscribe the text on these sacred palm leaves. But it's purely through the power of the intuitions of having an open third eye that both Siddhas and archetypal beings who are known as gods, they actually communicated the information about millions of people all over the world to beings that would inscribe this information on the palm leaves. So it has nothing to do with running your chart in terms of when you were born and then making the calculations based on that. It's purely based on divine intuition. And the Nadi Leaf reading has 15 different chapters to it, but most importantly, there are chapters that you can obtain on the general predictions for your lifetime, both for you and likely there would be predictions on family members that have a karma associated with you. And then most importantly, there are 2 leaves that give remedial remedies that can be done in order, most importantly, to make sure that you can either totally eradicate or avoid the negative events that would be happening in your life and to maximize the positive. Now, Nadi Leaf readings are available at our ashram in Chennai, and we will be stopping through Chennai on this trip. You'll be flying into Chennai. If you want to have a Nadi Leaf reading, that could be arranged for you if you come a day early. So that could be done. And how is that different than the Kerala reading? The Kerala reading is based not only on your birth chart. That's only one part of the reading, which is not really the magic of Kerala reading. The magic of Kerala reading is that these astrologers also have a divine ability to read the current events in your life that are having the greatest impact upon you current and into the future through beetle leaves and through shells that are thrown into different arrangements, and then based on that there are numerological calculations that are made. And it's also according to the moment, the time that you meet with the astrologer, meaning that at that time there are certain planets that are congregating in certain positions. So the readings are 2 very different readings, and the Kerala astrology reading will be given to people as a gift. The Nadi reading could be added to the trip, but you would need to come a day early, and we could help you arrange that.
Okay. Do you know how much extra that would be, just out of curiosity? I think usually in the past it's like an extra $500 for Nadi reading.
Yeah, I believe it's about $450.
$450. Okay, great. Well,
yeah, for the 3 chapters. Sure.
Yeah,
hope we see you there.
Insightful. I hope so too. I'll do my best. I hope to see you there. Great.
Any other questions?
In case people don't know, you press *6 to unmute your line.
Okay.
There you go.
I have a question.
Okay.
I don't know if you could hear me. I can't really hear myself.
We can hear you great.
Okay. I missed a little bit of the first part of the call. And about how many people are going to be on this trip?
I'm sorry?
About how many people are going to be on this trip?
This trip is actually a rare trip such that there's going to be a maximum of 20 people on the trip, which is, it actually never happens with Dr. Pillai. Usually on many of his trips there's 70 people, 50 people, but on this trip there'll probably be about 20, so that's why it really is an intimate experience.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be on the trip. I was just curious how many people were going to be on it.
Oh, great. What's your name?
My name is Virgie Horn.
Oh, yes. Okay, great. We'll see you there.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Bye.
Any other questions? If you're speaking, we can't hear you. You need to press *6 to unmute your line.
Hi, I have one more question.
Sure.
How many spots are available on the trip right now?
Luckily, this hotel has more rooms available than even what we blocked.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, it's not a worry with this hotel. Sometimes it's very, very tight, but the reason why we were able to extend the deadline is that this hotel had more rooms that were available for us.
Okay.
When do you think that you would be making your registration?
Oh, that's a very good question. Let's talk about the deadline
Okay.
that you all have set. It was like October the 22nd or something.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you would need like $600 by then at least. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I'm shooting for. I might have to need all that time, but that's what I'll shoot for.
Okay. If you need to send us an email in order to work that out individually, there's an email address on the website.
Okay.
So we can help you out with that. Great.
Yes, so that brings up a good point, actually. The deadline for the deposits is October 22nd, so you want to make sure you get your deposits in by then. If there's anyone who knows you're absolutely going to be on the trip and need some flexibility, send us an email. We'll see what we can do. There's no guarantees, but we do need to start booking internal flights and all of those things that require a certain amount of time and a certain amount of resources in order to make happen so that everyone gets on the same flight and is moving along as the trip should. So definitely be in touch with us if you know you want to be on this trip and haven't registered yet. And again, you can go ahead and go to PillaiCenter.com and click on the icon on the home page, and it brings you right to the landing page with the trip information, all the details of the locations of where we'll be going, as well as how to register.
Great.
Are there any other questions that we can answer about this trip? So just press *6 if you'd like to unmute your line. Okay, maybe there's not anyone else. If anything comes up and you would like to ask any questions, definitely get in touch with us. One of the email addresses that we have available is trips, TRIPS, at PillaiCenter.com. You can also contact office, OFFICE, at PillaiCenter.com, and we will be able to answer your questions and help you out the best we can.
Great.
Mohini, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Nothing else, just that I'm excited about the trip, and we look forward to seeing all of you who will be joining us there.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, and one more note about the intimacy. We were in the Poconos this past weekend with Dr. Pillai, and there were about 45 to 47 people there, and it felt like such a tiny group compared to where I've been on trips with him. Just in Cabo, I think we had 65 people. Last year, or a few months ago, in Egypt, we had 80 people. And last year in India, we had 60 people, or 65, 70, something like that. So the fact that this trip is going to have so few people on it, that alone is, if you ever wanted to spend time in Dr. Pillai's presence or get to ask him something or see him and speak to him, this is the time to do it, because and this is true, we never know when and if he'll book something next. Past the birthday trip, there are no trips scheduled, so we're not sure what he's doing. He just canceled London trip and can't be physically at the Toronto event, so his availability is decreasing. So hopefully if you are able to come on this trip and do have a desire to be in his presence in an intimate setting, this is it. The birthday trip is going to be big. We know that. It's already have quite a number of people registered, but we do know this Kanyakumari is unique and it's a rare gem. So if this is something you'd like to do, then I would encourage you to go ahead and take that plunge and contact us with any questions or concerns. I think that's it for now. Thank you, Mohini, for all of that wonderful, inspiring detail of your experiences in Kanyakumari.
Sure, it was fun. Look forward to seeing everybody there.
Yes.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Night.
Night.
Goodbye.